Yeah, that game I've been playing though. Basically, the idea is you're an engineer or something, right? You're someone who uses blueprints, because at the very beginning you're in a car, and right next to you is a set of blueprints on the chair next to you, along with like a ruler and some gloves, I believe. So you're meant to be like some kind of engineer or something, right? An architect, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so you're just watching this guy drive from first person, then all of a sudden you see a big flash of light go past the front of the car, and then again, and then suddenly you're like on a conveyor belt and you can't move. You basically go through this conveyor belt, you get scanned, you get a suit put onto your body, and then you get dropped off in front of like 4 aliens and watch this weird little ceremony thing happen. And then you drop down a chute into this tiny room with a bed, a sink, a toilet and a big TV in it. And like food pellets drop out of the roof into the sink, and like you can eat food pellets. And then you have to go to the screen, and then you can pick like the puzzles to do. So the idea is that you're making stuff for the aliens, you know?
If they're smart enough to make the puzzle machine, why not just do it?
Huh?
If the aliens are smart enough to make the like...
Well, it's not a puzzle machine. You're showed what they want at the end. You're given certain parts to make it, and you have to use like conveyor belts and all kinds of different things to make that thing. It's genuinely really cool. It's a fun little game. It's, you know, a bit absurdist. There's echoes of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when it comes to the aliens as well. It's
genuinely like
very
fun thing to do.
Quite funny.
I was very confused when I first saw you play it, like, and it just kind of looks like a lateral thinking puzzle.
Yeah. Well, that's basically what it is.
Yeah,
but there's
it is a
some
lateral
story to
thinking
it.
puzzle. But yeah, and then you're like, oh, that's a dead girl. What the fuck? Oh yeah, the aliens killed her.
Yeah, there are dead
and how
bodies.
How did somebody shove this into a lateral thinking puzzle?
Yeah, there are dead bodies of the people who were there before you. Like people who failed, like, because they don't get to go back to their room until after they finish the puzzles, basically. They have to finish like a full group of puzzles. They have their performance review, and then they get fed. And they don't get fed until they complete the puzzles. So you end up with like a load of people who've like died of starvation or thirst, you know?
Yeah.
There's one guy who like snagged his suit and suffocated to death. You know?
I think it's kind of cool when you're like just doing this little puzzle and then you walk around and there's like dead bodies there.
Yeah, and it's a really cool narrative because it's kind of, you get all the story from little audio logs. Like at first you see a couple of bodies as you go through the levels of like people who are unfortunate. There's even a dog there that was in a spacesuit.
Oh, that's just sick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more logical. Who would put the dog in a spacesuit?
Well, the idea is they abducted the dog.
Why would you abduct the dog?
Because they thought the dog could do it, and the dog couldn't do it.
What kind of fucking idiots are these aliens?
Well, that's kind of the joke. But
we have the power to abduct people, but we can't complete simple puzzles, and we think dogs can. They clearly didn't observe the species that they were picking up.
No, but again, I think it's based off of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Quite honestly, with that, the aliens are very much like the well, I can't remember the second name now.
No, it's been so long since I've seen that.
But it's it's really cool because you get this idea that you kind of get the idea that these aliens are very unfeeling, uncaring about you, and you know, by what's happened to all these other people you found. And then on one of them, you click it, and it's somebody else who has deliberately left a message there for you to see. And it's some old guy who basically tells you his story about how he was abducted when he was a young teenager, and back then they used to have...
So they're a long time.
Yeah, so back then they used to have them work in teams, but people would always try to rebel, so they ended up splitting everyone up, so you never see another human being anymore unless they're dead on the floor. And you know, he goes through like, every time you find his little audio logs, he's like addressing you, he's leaving them through whoever gets to that point. And it gets very interesting because you start to learn about like how he's given up completely on ever going home, and he did that a long time ago, and he's just kind of saying like how there's no point in trying to fight them, you're better off just doing your job, and you know, you'll be happier that way, that sort of thing. And there's like interesting stuff into like the lore of the game as well. Like there's a point when you come across 2 aliens, like bizarre aliens that don't look anything like the other ones, and they're dead on the floor and in different colour uniforms. And through the audio log from Floyd, this guy's name, those aliens used to be used for mining, but then they started using machines for mining. So they just kept using those little creatures for a blood sport, making them fight each other. And then eventually you get to a body on the floor, and you click the audio log, and it's Floyd.
Oh, I hate those kind of things.
Yeah. Basically, he's an old man by the time that you're like seeing these audio logs, and he solves the puzzle, you know, of the room he's in, and then just kind of like sits down to die because he's done and he's tired. You know, it's very cool. And as you go on, then it's like you find another audio log with a woman's voice on it. At first, it's like this guy who's basically been crushed by a container that's landed on him. And he's like, oh god, I'm bleeding out. Okay, God, I've got one thing to say to you. And then she's cut through his communication to leave a message at that point. So you don't get to hear what he's going to say, like his last words are cut off. Because she's recorded over it. And it's this woman who's basically planning on escaping. And you kind of get the idea there's a rebellion somehow going on. And she says about how only for a moment her screen in her room flickered and there was a human face. And she thinks there's a rebellion out there and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's really cool. You never, like, at this point I haven't seen any other human beings apart from dead people. But yeah, it's really cool. Very
How many
fun.
hours do you think you've got on it? Like,
Oh god, I don't want to think.
or how close to the end do you think you are?
I think I'm pretty close to the end now.
Do you think you're going to see a human being?
I don't know. I saw the guy in
Human
the...
being.
The guy showed up in the screen, like he did for her. He just like a brief second, you see a guy, and he's like, oh, I think I got it, and then, no, we're losing the connect, and then he's gone. So that was cool. But, yeah, it's a very fun game, very addictive. I mean, I start playing it at like 8, and then I get off at 2 in the morning, so it says how much fun it is. And that's just building the puzzles, honestly. I like that kind of logic, puzzles sort of thing. When you get everything right, and it all just works on its own, you know, and you can just watch it go. It's such a satisfying feeling, you know? Like, yes, I am a genius, you know? And you get a good, when you've been spending like 2 hours on one puzzle, trying to construct a tank, you know? And you finally do it, you're just like, oh, thank fuck for that was great, I'm so glad that's done. You know, there's a level where you have to do maintenance on a tank, which is like removing the barrel, the back of it, and then replacing those parts. But now I'm on one where you have to make the entire tank. And I made satellites. There's one where you have to capture small furry animals and make them into food.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's just mean.
I know, right?
Who does that to the furry animals?
That was actually quite an easy one though. That was quite easy.
Sounds like you're kind of disappointed, like that you missed the challenge.
Well, yeah, there was no challenge in it, because you didn't have to make anything, you just had to make, basically, every, like, couple of seconds, one would jump up out of a hole and then go back down again, like whack-a-mole. So the idea is, like, you put a pusher behind it with a sensor above it, so when it goes up, it triggers a sensor which pushes the pusher, so it gets pushed out of the hole, and then onto, like, a rail you put out, which moves it along then, in the direction you want. But then you got like make tunnels around it so that they can't get out off the off your rails. So you gotta move them up to this packing machine that packs them, like vacuum packs them, and then you send them into the orders. You know, with XCOM, like you've gotten to the point now where you can competently play XCOM on your own, yeah?
Yes.
I think that's fair to say. So, if you could make one change to the game, right?
Yeah.
Disregarding the class system with how it chooses classes for new soldiers by random, what would you change?
I think something that's slightly different to that, but I think that I would like control over who I hire, so it's not...
It's pretty much the same thing.
No, you know when you hire rookies?
Yeah.
Like a little bit of like information on them, but then I guess you...
Wow, so you can be racist! I don't want anyone from
I'd
France!
like their qualifications.
They don't have any though, I mean...
Probably the most qualified soldiers.
Yeah, I get
the world
you.
has to offer.
But then that kind of removes the strategy element, the random... Because you'd always just pick the best people, you know? Because they have
They'll
like...
all be the best.
They have stats, so like
It's
will...
more of a role thing. They all like would be the best, but just like, you know, that they used to work in so and so, and
Yeah, but that doesn't really change anything gameplay-wise,
No,
unless you have
that's
an
what
effect
you
of
can't really
it.
name your, you can't really make them into other people that you want, like, real life people like we do.
I think the game needs more customization. Like, the character customization on XCOM is awful. There's basically nothing there.
Oh yeah, because this is not like the major thing I've changed, so it doesn't matter as much, but it does in a way, like, if you're trying to make, like, your friends or your family, and you get on XCOM, I think, like, say you have like 15 hair colors to choose from.
Yeah.
And they're like pink, orange, and hairstyles. They don't pick normal stuff.
Yeah.
Like, my sister's like brownie red, like natural brownie red, don't have brownie red. Don't have like, strawberry blonde.
I get
but they
get
have like
why.
green and blue and purple and pink and white. But if you want to make them look like, because a lot of people do that, they want to make them look like people they know.
But I get why they didn't put like a massive amount of customization options.
No, they just have to get rid of some of the other ones.
But like the reason they didn't do it though was just because, those soldiers you make, a lot of them are just gonna die anyway, and you don't get them back. So it's that thing of, I think they went into it with the idea that no one's gonna bother, so why, because they're gonna die. Which is wrong. They were wrong,
well,
because
I
gotta be honest, I think most people would spend more time customizing their soldiers than playing their game.
Because I don't get why they would think that way, because
well, I mean, again, the way the game was made and everything, like,
because I get the fact if they don't have enough room, they want to keep
I don't think it'd be room, I think it's just a time thing, like,
Cross the roundabout.
because they really did slap the game together.
But they just put the hairstyle options that are fucking ridiculous on there.
Yeah.
Just stick to like...
Or have a colour slider would be better. Sliders instead of
Yeah, have a
individual
slider.
colours. Have the red, blue, green slider with the colour and contrast. Colour, brightness and contrast.
I think I would change as far as like things that kind of matter in a more sense. It's like, I don't know, like that you could have some more common sense moves.
Right.
Sometimes it's like, like as you go, it's turn-based.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing though, like...
It's turn-based for a reason.
300 yards. Cross the roundabout. First
You said that, but I thought, when you said that, right, I thought like... I know that some of them have abilities, like run and gun can do,
Yeah.
can move quicker, but it's not like...
Cross the roundabout.
Snipers move like this.
Oh no, it's not.
I thought it was like the pawns and the kings
that
and
level,
stuff
no.
like that. It's not like chess, it's just turn-based.
What I meant was there's the same amount of strategy in it that is in chess, It is, fuck you.
After 700
really is.
yards. Cross the roundabout. Second exit.
Fuck you.
You're not calculating 20 moves ahead because the aliens do random.
No, but again, the game is a bit too complex for that. There's too many different things you can do to do that. There's too many options for anyone to ever do that. You couldn't predict it because there's too many different things you can do.
No, I mean you can predict it in the sense like, for example, you know that the seekers are going to come up behind.
Yeah, there's patterns
You know
of
they're going to
behaviour.
go for the people on their own, so they're probably going to go
Yeah,
for
but
like,
what I mean is though, the thing about predicting moves in chess is because there's only so much you can do in chess, which is how you can do the prediction thing. It's restricted to a point where you can actually predict really
but
quite
that's
far
what I mean. The
ahead.
XCOM, there's chance in it, so you don't. There's some bits like quite easy, like so you know what the seekers are going to do, and then other bits like you said there is no strategy because it's so random.
After
Do remember you are on
600
easy
yards.
mode as
Cross the
well.
roundabout.
Yeah, I'm just saying it doesn't. The mechanics of it
Yeah.
is not like chess.
Okay, fair enough.
It's like checkers.
Oh, fuck you. That's
I
mean.
love checkers.
That's mean. That is mean.
I love checkers.
No, because checkers is just considered like the weaker form of chess, and you know it. One of the things I change, gameplay-wise, is the aerial
You
combat.
didn't let me say what I was going to change.
You just did.
No, I didn't.
Fine. Well,
I was giving myself the common sense move.
yeah.
Right, it's
Cross the
turn-based.
roundabout.
So like
Second exit.
sometimes you got like say a bin, not a bin, that's not big enough. Like a sign, just a square slab, and the person stood on the right hand side of it, like stood on the side,
Okay.
And it's like the enemies are coming round and start shooting at someone really close. She should move. Like you don't even have to move your feet. You don't have to move your feet. You would just turn behind, but she doesn't. She
Again,
stands
yeah,
there
but
and doesn't make any sense.
I get you, but then it's not, at that point then, it may as well not be turn-based. Because that's the advantage of it being turn-based, is the fact you can outmaneuver other people. Whereas if they took cover on their own,
Which is logical stuff too.
yeah, like if they took
It
cover on
would
their
be
own.
more complicated, but it would make more sense. I like to see what it'd be like.
Like, I would change, the aerial combat.
Yeah.
I change that, like, incredibly change that. Because that's crap. That's really bad, there's no skill in it.
You watch the screen. it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Does it get any different than that?
No.
The screen?
No, it doesn't. You can add on special abilities to your plane, where you just push a button and something happens. But there's no strategy in it. It's just really bad. That's one of the weaker points of that game.
Yeah, that sounds like something frustrating. Yeah.
Also, having multiple Sky Rangers would be really fun as well. Like 2 instead of 1. You know?
You only get to use one plane at a time all the time, is that right?
Yeah, you know how you get to a mission in the Sky Ranger, yeah?
Yeah, and then when
So-
you one plane, when like my one plane got fucked the other day, so I had to send the second one out.
Oh, no, that's not Sky Ranger, that's your Interceptors. You know your Sky Ranger, the thing your men get into to go to a mission?
Oh, right, yeah?
Yeah. Right, you know when you have like all these men, and this is all around the world, why can't you have 2 Sky Rangers and send 2 missions out at once?
Oh, I get you.
You know? Like,
2 teams.
if it's about keeping it difficult with the panic level, just have 4 countries are panicking instead of 3, you know? And
Yeah.
that way you can keep it the same, except, you know, it just feels a bit more realistic. It feels like you can do a bit more.
Yeah.
You know, you have an A team and a B team.
Yeah, and it'd be cool like if you had that and then you like had some bigger missions. Like you know like a lot of them I've done so far at the beginning are like neutralize the hostiles, collect maps.
Yeah.
And then you have ones where it's like save hostages. You know.
Yeah.
It'd be cool like if you had like a bigger disaster with more aliens.
Yeah,
and
like
it's,
combination missions.
which you need, your A and B team for. So
Yeah.
the B team are saving civilians while the A team are neutralizing hostiles.
And it wouldn't, like, you know, because part of the reason you only have 6 men is to make sure that the combat doesn't get too slow, right? So you wouldn't even have to do it in the way that you'd have 2 teams on the same map. You could literally do it and just say, right, they're both in the same city. A team is at the south part of the city, drawing the fire of most of the aliens and pulling them away from the civilians who are primarily in the north. B team will be in the north, assisting with the evacuation and covering the civilians from any straggling aliens.
Yeah, like the straggling aliens.
Yeah,
stuff,
there you go.
the big-
You have 2 separate missions that are on 2 separate maps, so it's meant to be in the same location, and you can do it in a way that makes sense and makes it feel like the world's a bit bigger.
And then the other cool, because you know if you do the mission with your A team first, where you're like at like another crash site where the majority of the aliens are,
Yeah.
right? And very few civilians. Or no civilians. Like, you know, depending on how well you do in that mission,
Mm-hmm.
like, you could have a harder... That might be too complicated for the game.
Okay,
can't it? Okay, say for example there are 30 aliens.
Yeah.
Of 35 aliens, right? There's 35 aliens with your A team at the crash site.
Yeah.
Say your A team does like averagely.
Yeah.
Kills 30 aliens.
Yeah, and then you
You
have
would add
issues.
plus another
Yeah.
5 alien
That would
targets
work.
on
That would be cool.
the civilians.
They could easily
So it
do that.
matters.
Yeah, they could easily do that.
Yeah, that'd be kind
Yeah, you could have these Uber missions and, you know, be
That would be
awesome. Yeah. We could make a good game. You just need someone to design it, do the art, publicize it, you know, program, game testing, voice act, yeah. We have the ideas.
So they're not the, you know.
Yeah, we have the ideas, but, you know, we just need people to make it. I love XCOM though.
It's a good game. A really, really good game.